Now, back here in Colorado, state leaders are starting to take action to increase accountability for our law enforcement officers. Just about an hour ago, lawmakers introduced a bill that aims to do just that. Denver 7's Megan Lopez is joining us tonight. Megan, you just read through the official version of this bill.
Yeah, that's right, Ann, and this bill is changing fast and really kind of moving fast. So the bill that was kind of unveiled yesterday, a draft of it anyway, was 25 pages long. The draft that I saw this morning was 15 pages long, and then the one that was formally introduced was 16 pages long. It was supposed to be formally introduced earlier this afternoon. That only happened like an hour ago. It shows you that there are just a lot of moving parts to this. But the one thing that I heard, the consistent thing that I heard from everyone involved, is that there needs to be change. In the late afternoon, late in the legislative session,
introduction of bills.
A bill calling for big change. As protests stretched into a 7th straight day outside, inside an acknowledgement that now is the time for action.
Ending chokeholds as a restraining method for the police. That's something we want to discuss.
Democrats in the state legislature introduced the bill, but Republican Senate spokesperson NEWMAN says his caucus is committed to helping.
It may be unprecedented, but we're in unprecedented time, so I'm not going to hold that against Democrats. We're just hoping that they give us a chance to come to the table and be part of the process as well.
The official version of the bill is much shorter than the size of the original draft. Along with required body cameras and data collection, it calls for videos of incidents to be released within 14 days. But where the money for all of these changes is coming from isn't exactly clear.
There are potentials for large financial impact on local communities throughout the state.
Ron SLOAN from the Association of Chiefs of Police says they too are committed to being part of the conversation.
The unfortunate circumstances that we see around the country evidence to us that we always have to be working on improving accountability and integrity in our business.
They called for a different change to Colorado law, one where officers witnessing excessive force are required to intervene. With this bill,
clearly the intent we agree with, and we want to work with the legislature on it.
So if this bill is passed, parts of it would go into effect this upcoming January, and then parts of it would go into effect in July. When it comes to that body-worn camera part, there is a part for a waiver in case law enforcement agencies aren't able to get them or to afford them. We expect this bill to head to committee this week, possibly as soon as tomorrow. I'm live in front of the Colorado State Capitol. Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
We will, of course, be watching and, keeping close watch on that. Thank you, Megan. Now, tonight, both Denver police and leaders in Colorado's Black community say they will keep the conversation going with the goal of moving towards change. Coming up at 6 o'clock, Denver's police chief will host a virtual community town hall. Now, this is the first of a series of virtual meetings the department is planning to find out how it can better serve the community. Chief Paul Pazin describes it as a listening session, letting members of the community voice their concerns and offer recommendations about how to improve the department. And then at 6:30, African American leaders will host an online event on Facebook and YouTube discussing the death of George Floyd, the national movement sparked by his senseless murder, and where we go from here. Religious leaders, journalists, attorneys, and school board members will all be represented in the panel hosted by the Multicultural Mosaic Foundation.
And as we see progress in the discussion and make changes, protesters continue to demonstrate, hold accountable these community leaders. Denver 7's Tony Kovaleski is live once again among them. So this is one straight week, Tony.
Yeah, what a difference 48 hours makes, Shannon. Right now, behind us, everybody laying down, arms behind their back, sending a message of exactly what happened in the final minutes to George Floyd. Organizers up on the west steps of the Capitol. These are the very same people that walked arm in arm with Denver's police chief on Monday, and the change that we've seen in the past 48 hours that we've continued to report on. Peaceful protests, powerful messages. They're working for the social change that is happening in Colorado, in Denver, and around the country right now. This is a crowd that has continued to grow in the last half hour, guesstimating right now between 1,500 and 2,500 people here on the west steps of the Capitol, and they are peacefully sending that powerful message as they're talking about what happened to George Floyd in Minneapolis. Everybody on their stomach, arms behind their back, a position that they're hearing the organizers talk about the fact that Mr. Floyd unable to breathe in the final minutes of his life, putting themselves in his shoes and getting a connection right now with what happened. This is part of what will be going on all evening long across here in Civic Center Park at 5:30. They've got a vigil planned, and we're expecting even more people for that. But again, a peaceful vigil to send the message that people in Colorado were looking for change. Shannon?
And Tony, you've been out there almost every night, I think, with the protesters. Talk just for a quick second about the difference, say, between Sunday and then so far what we've seen out there this week.
Well, you know what? I think we started seeing an evolution on Monday with the police department coming together with the community. One thing you don't see around us here, there is no law enforcement presence on the steps of the Capitol, on the grounds of the Capitol. We saw one police officer, one police vehicle probably about a half mile from here, but there has been a difference. Law enforcement has backed away. They're allowing people to send their message, and ever since that happened on Monday, the peaceful protest message has worked, and we have seen far less violence, far less vandalism. That's made a difference. Reporting live at the Capitol, I'm Tony Kowaleski. Shannon?
All right, Tony, thank you.